Chapter 3 is called The Social Contract. Let's see what this chapter is about. I had a thought that maybe it's about like things that we agree upon as a society. I think the good example is laws about driving. You know, I want to drive my car as fast as I can, but no, there are driving laws. I can't go really quickly near a school, for example. The law says I need to slow down near a school, and we agree as a society that it's a limitation we place upon drivers for the good of society, right? It's good. You know, it might not be good for me. I don't like being forced to drive slowly, but it's good for society as a whole if we have laws like that. Okay, we've got another philosopher to debate. Who are we fighting? Another Greek dude? Seriously, we had 2 in a row. This one's British. Oh, man. Is it John What's-His-Face? Ooh, maybe it's David What's-His-Face. Oh, man, David Hume. Wouldn't that be interesting? He'd just spend the entire thing disagreeing with whatever I say and being grumpy about it. That's what it would be. That's what it would be. Alrighty, so who could this philosopher be? I don't know. I don't recognize him. Maybe it's John Locke. Ooh. Yeah, he's not saying or doing anything. I just noticed my credibility is back down to 50%. Oh. Why did my credibility take a hit between chapters? Humbug! He can talk. Of course I can speak. I just chose not to. You waste time with small words. Small words are the money of fools. So who's this guy? Oh no, Thomas Hobbes! Oh, he's almost as grumpy as David Hume! Is he the one whose philosophy is that life is terrible, life is nasty, poor, brutish, and short? Everything's terrible! Oh no. I don't want to argue this guy. Can I argue somebody who's nicer? Hobbes will present his argument. Of course, Arbiter. So here's the natural state of man. In the natural state, men find themselves equal and in competition for resources. Being selfish, they go to any length to achieve their desires. It sets them at odds with every other man, creating a constant state of war. Yeah, that's almost exactly what I said. Life is nasty, poor, brutish, and short. So I think he has some... I think in real life he has deductions based on that. Like, he gets from that to why we need a king to try to stop people from constantly fighting with each other. That's why we need a king and a society. That way people will not always be fighting. Yeah, in the natural state there's no morality. Morality is created by the society. It's imposed upon people to get them out of this natural state of fighting and arguing and killing. That's ridiculous. Of course there's a sense of right and wrong. You know, even if, you know, in the book Robinson Crusoe or The Hatchet or one of those other books where somebody is just all by themselves apart from other people, they still have a sense of morality, right? Careful. Gotta be careful. So let's see. I can say natural state, they're always constantly fighting. People constantly fight. They are always very selfish as well. They only make selfish decisions. I don't believe that. I feel like people sometimes make selfless decisions. I think the example is a parent who sacrifices their own life to save the life of a child. And people work together to further the overall good. Well, that's working in a society. Yeah, I don't know. Let's go through this. So let's ask for clarification, backing, and relevance of all these statements. Yeah, what do you mean by all people are equal? Because I don't think all people start out as equal, right? Like, some people will be better at getting resources than others, right? Some people are stronger and taller than other people. Some people are smarter than other people as well. You know, a smart person can get food more easily than a dumb person, right? You want to work smarter, not harder. Also, you know, his argument there is saying that there's not enough resources. I don't know about that. Like, the amount of food we have now, you know, the amount of food relative to the number of people on Earth now, that's a different ratio than, say, 500 years ago, where food was far more scarce. Okay, humans are selfish. Yeah, this is something I don't agree with. This argument that they will go to any lengths to achieve their desires. Because, you know, sometimes some people will want something, they'll want to do something, but they decide not to do that. So I don't think it's the case that I'll do whatever I want and nothing will ever stop me. It's like, there are times I don't always do what I want to do, right? You know, maybe I just want to stay at home and play video games all day, but I can't do that. You know, I have to go to work sometimes. Yeah, so Mr. Socrates is being motivated by his selfish personal interests. Yeah, so I'm just objecting to the go to any lengths part of the argument there. Alright, so he's basing an argument on the fact that men are terrible and selfish, using man in the generic sense of human being, as opposed to, you know, woman and man. I don't think he had like a different philosophy for what governs female behavior. So, unable to achieve the same ends, men have to fight to gain an upper hand. You know, if there's only two cheeseburgers there, and 5 guys want to eat the cheeseburger, they're gonna fight over it. They're gonna fight over it. Or maybe they will come to an agreement and decide to split the cheeseburgers. Maybe, like, I feel like that's an option. Yeah, will 2 starving men ever let the other one have the last slice of bread? Like I said, it could be split in half, though. You could split a piece of bread in half. Love triangles, not so easy. I'll ask the relevance of that statement. Oh, that is his conclusion. Ceaseless conflict makes life nasty, brutish, and short. You fight endlessly your entire life. That means your life is pretty awful. You never get a break from constant fighting. Also, when he says it's short, you know, people live a lot longer now than they did 500 years ago. So nasty, always filled with death and discomfort. Brutish, everybody's a brute. They were mean to each other. They use brute strength. They fight with each other. Average age of death was in the mid-20s. Yeah, I wonder what the age of death was when Hobbes was alive, when Mr. Hobbs was alive. What was the average age of death then? Yeah, why do people like this guy? He's so mean and nasty. I need to find the problem and point it out so we can have a discussion with somebody who knows what he's talking about. Let's go back to our 3 arguments. Okay, everybody's in a constant war with others. Does this natural state argument, because Locke is the one who says that the natural state is nothing. Like, a baby's just born, they don't have any preconceptions, they're not naturally inclined to do anything. They're just a baby. A blank slate is the famous one. It's like a book that has no words on it. That's what it's like when you're a baby. Okay, I am confusing myself here. Let's look. Men will always seek the greatest benefit to the self. Do any of these things contradict that? I mean, they want to achieve their desires, but you can desire something that's not the greatest benefit to yourself. I'm not sure that's the best argument there. And then people often work together to further the overall good. So I think maybe this is the point where I say people work together, because he's saying people are always fighting with each other. They're always fighting with each other. That's his conclusion. But I'm going to say people sometimes work together.
Nonsense!
Hobbes, your argument is pretty weak. You say people are fighting all the time, but they work together a lot. Yeah, society is built upon cooperation. Employees in a business, like employees, will often work together. Neighbors will often be friendly to each other. Hey, doctors help people, right? How is that not, I mean, that's unselfish, right? Of course, doctors are well compensated for helping people. Okay, I think we're gonna get to Hobbes' next point, which is, that's the natural state. We don't exist in the natural state, okay? I'm not a person who's living in the woods by myself with like 3 other people around to fight for resources. This is not caveman days. That's what Hobbes saying. Like, that was the case in caveman days. Society moved well past that. So that's what it was back in the old days. What is it like now? So people like surviving, right? But in the natural state, it's really hard to survive if you're a caveman and other cavemen are fighting you. Thus, people are impelled to seek peace. So, you know, my country might want to declare war on its next door neighbors, but it is for the best if we don't declare war. So people agree not to fight even though they really, really want to. So that's called the social construct. The social contract, sorry. Oh, wow, I thought we were done with this guy, and we have to keep arguing? Well, it makes sense. Like, if we knew that Hobbes is a big fan of the social contract, we probably could have predicted he would talk about the social contract. Are you sure that's, like, common knowledge, though, Ari? Like, I'm an accountant. Do I have to keep saying that? Hold on, I didn't even get to test your argument. I'm not going to agree it's right. Arbiter, I need to ask a few questions. Scholastic thinking. Very well, Mr. Jones. Give it a shot. Let's see how it goes. Okay, survival is at the core of instincts, but in natural state there's no security. So we seek peace. We seek peace in order to create security and survival. My lifespan is a lot longer if I'm not constantly fighting people to the death. Yeah. So from such exchanges, morality is born. See, that's where you're jumping. I feel like that's a jump which might be taking it a little too far. Saying people get along. People get along to make their lives better. That doesn't... how do you get from that to morality? Okay, so let's clarify back and relate the first three statements. See if we get anything new. Yeah, how can you prove people like surviving? Well, I don't really like being dead. It actually hasn't been that bad, but... yeah, it's been great. I get to meet cool, famous people. Oh. He's being sarcastic. I see. Alright, way to just make his point. Alright. So there is a difference between survival and like the level of comfort of life. And we see that. It's like, well, okay, well, what if I get to live 50 extra years, but those are really, really terrible years, and I am constant pain and suffering the entire time, and I get to watch people destroy my legacy every single minute of every day. No, some people wouldn't like that. So that would be a point I take issue with. That's not, I don't think that's the flaw in the argument that the game is looking for. So no security in the natural state. Anybody can do what they want, including actions that harm other people. If I felt like killing you, I could do it, and there would be no consequence. Wow, it does sound like he's threatening me. I feel like one of the problems with Hobbes' argument, going on and on about the natural state, is that we don't get to observe the natural state. It's not like we've got a group of cavemen to observe to say whether or not he's right or wrong. I believe that was an issue with, like the book Lord of the Fleas. Sorry. Lord of the Flies. Lord of the Fleas is a Dogman book. But Lord of the Flies is about a group of boys that are in the natural state. They like crash land on an island, and there's no adults there, and so it is what Hobbes is saying, the natural state, and they eventually, like, they turn into total chaos and attack each other. It's like we don't have a real life situation for that to actually observe. We haven't been able to observe thousands upon thousands of cavemen interactions in order to come to the general conclusion that they're always trying to murder each other. And I'm not paying any attention to this game. I'm sorry. Let's go to this. Ooh, elaboration. So a contract is an agreement between individuals. We give up some personal freedoms, usually the freedom to harm, right? Because that confers greater security. Hey, and I got some credibility. I updated his statement. Yeah, one of the things is like the social contract. It's not really like I'm signing a piece of paper, which is a business contract that states all the terms and agreements, right? It's more of like an implied contract that society has come up with. And, you know, there are people that don't understand you know, societal norms and expectations sometimes. Sometimes they can be confusing. So it would be helpful if somebody wrote the list of, like, social... if it was an actual physical contract that I could always refer to. Strong man agrees to guard the weaker man for pay. What if the weaker man can't afford to pay? That doesn't mean that the strong man is always going to prey upon the weaker man. Okay, so we form contracts. Let's see if there's any good challenge with this. Does that contradict his idea that everybody's selfish? Maybe. So now let's go to the conclusion is like, how do we get from that to morality? We form treaties, and again, is like, he's saying it's something that's written out. It's a contract that people sign. I don't remember signing any such contract. Yeah, if there's no morality in the natural state, and there's morality in the state with social contracts, we could assume social contracts have something to do with morality. We can't... That might be confusing correlation with causation, though, Mr. Hobbs. He's a butt-faced baboon, but that doesn't have anything to do with anything. And then we also have the problem of somebody breaking the social contract. Like, sometimes somebody lies and breaks contracts, right? On purpose, deliberately lies. So I think maybe what we're supposed to do is argue that this statement that, okay, people give up freedoms for security, does that contradict the fact that mankind is selfish?
Nonsense!
We'll see if that's right. You know, this looks like that was wrong. I don't know, I can't tell if I made the right argument or not. So people are selfish, right? And they'll go to any lengths to improve their prosperity. Yes, that's why we make contracts. If the only benefits of the social contract come from other people giving up their rights, and people are selfish, what stops these selfish people from breaking the contract? Hey, that's sort of what I said. Kind of. People can lie about that sort of thing. I mean, you said people always do whatever is best for them. And lying to get what you want, that is definitely what a selfish person would do. Yeah, everybody stabs each other in the back the moment they can get away with it. Yep.
Nonsense!
I think Hobbes has a counter argument, though, in real life. Okay, let's see what the next step is. What makes sure that people don't break the social contract? Is it the government and the police force? Is that it? Yeah, so if people aren't forced to follow the contract, they're generally inclined to break it. Fear. Yeah, fear of repercussions. That's what laws are. They're a punishment for breaking the rules of the social contract. So that's why we have a king, or sovereign as he calls it. Sovereign gets to make the rules. They deal out punishment to people who break the contract. And that keeps the morality. So, I don't believe this argument. Social contract simply needs proper enforcement. Just because something's legal or illegal doesn't make it right or wrong. I think we've seen that where, like, laws change, right? So does that mean the morality of something changes? You know, if something's legal now, which wasn't legal in the past, Does that mean it's good now, but it wasn't good in the past? I don't know. Like, yeah, she's bringing up a good point. You could have a terrible sovereign. You could have a terrible king who makes up bad laws. Yeah. And I believe under Hobbes' argument, since the king is the source of morality, the king actually can break the laws. Because the king is the one who makes the laws. And like, I don't like the argument that the king can break the laws if he wants to. That's not a good... It's not a good argument. Okay, let's examine it. Let's clarify. People often break laws for their own benefit. So he actually gave like the carrot and the stick example. You either need to give them a carrot to make sure they follow the laws, or you need to give them a stick. That means they're punished if they break the laws. Let's get the backing here. Most advantageous situation. Oh, are you just quoting what he said earlier? Okay, such obligation can be easily created out of fear. So fear will make sure people follow the law. Yeah, and then that just kind of gets us to the point that sometimes people will break the law if they know they won't be punished for it. Other times people will always follow the law no matter what. Like, even if they won't be punished for breaking the law, they still won't break it. Other people, they will totally break the law if they can get away with it. Yeah, people are scared of zombies. People are totally scared of zombies. Did I ask for backing? Okay. Spare the rod, spoil the child. By having a king can create fear. Of course, I've read like dystopian novels where there is like a king who's running the government, but there's like an out-of-control police force that goes against the government and the king. And this would have to be a second contract, right? Where the sovereign forms a separate contract with the people, which is different from the social contract, right? Maybe... They agree to obey the sovereign. In return, the sovereign punishes those who disobey the contract. Because it feels like it could be that people could make a contract to get along and not fight with each other without necessarily creating a sovereign king to enforce the contract. We've seen other forms of government, right? Not necessarily ones ruled by kings. Alright. King can deal out punishment, hanging, imprisonment, yeah. Have you heard of the law? Have you heard of a law that exists outside of government? Natural law, perhaps? Oh, that's getting into a whole different can of worms. Alright, so now we have the final statement. Let's clarify back and relate it. Society hasn't fallen apart yet, so we must be doing something right. Okay, so it's the third statement that he changed, and I feel like because we changed that statement, that must be the important one that we're going to contradict. So the sovereign forms a contract with people. Yeah, contracts need to be enforced, right? Oh no, that's a circular argument there. Like, we need a king to enforce the contract. Who's going to make sure the king follows the contract? Right? Does that argument make sense? I hope that makes sense. Like, if the king makes sure everybody follows the law, well then who's making sure the king follows the law?
Nonsense!
So, political philosophy, yes. But we're talking about morality here. You don't have fear. Haven't you learned not to make such brash statements? Huh! Nonsense. I think not. Guys, stop fighting. To the point. So you say our obligation to follow the contract comes from the sovereign. The sovereign's power comes from the same contract. So what makes the king obligated to follow the contract? You did add a layer of obligation, but you haven't fixed something. There's still one person who's outside of the contract. Didn't I say that earlier, though? Like, the kings can be evil and take advantage of the people. If the king necessarily stands outside the bounds of morality because he's the arbiter of morality, yeah. Okay, let's hear his counter-argument. I want to hear this counter-argument.
Nonsense!
Dude, really? You're arguing? I mean... Okay, Hobbs, I don't need to hear your argument. I have definitely seen the movie Captain America: Civil War, which says that superheroes, by nature of the fact that they have power and they are stronger than everybody else, that means they get to determine their own morality. Because they can enforce it. They can force everybody else to obey their rules and whims, and I don't like that! Oh no, so we're saying he has a contract built upon a contract, built upon a contract, built upon a contract? That's not good. As I mentioned, I don't have, I did not actually sign a social contract agreeing to follow the law. I was just sort of born into a society where the law pre-exists. Well, Dad, let's encounter that. And yeah, I've got great credibility right now. Your philosophy is hobbled, Hobbes. Why don't you go back to your friend John Calvin? Play with him. Oh no, poor Hobbes is very confused. Somebody give Hobbes a stuffed tiger. I think a stuffed animal would make him feel very happy right now. Yeah, being forced to debate people for all eternity doesn't sound like a very nice afterlife here. However, philosophers love debating, so maybe they would enjoy an afterlife where they fight all the time. Hooray! So, we did the third debate. Next is chapter number 4, The Pursuit of Happiness. Maybe this deals with... I don't know who this is going to be following. I was about to say John Stuart Mill, but I don't think it was happiness in utilitarianism. Wasn't it usefulness in his? Maybe it's Thomas Aquinas who was talking about happiness? I don't know. I guess we'll find out who our opponent is in the next video.